Hello everybody, welcome back to another Broodwar cast. It's time for your daily dose, and I've got Speed spawning in the top left to start us off. Ddasik is going to be the main theme of this video. He will be playing against Speed, and then Shinee, who is also one of the top players on the ladder, top Terran player. But I specifically wanted to see Ddasik a little bit more. He's been showing us some great games, faltering here and there, but for the most part, making some very good decisions and giving us some nice late game ZvT and ZvP. So, wanted to see how he would handle Speed. Speed is that guy who rarely gets to the late game because he's so good at dominating Zerg players in the mid game. Is very crisp with the way he plays. Doesn't give much breathing room for a Zerg player. Was just trying to transition into a third base, and on this map, it's very difficult to get a third base out. I recently saw the statistics for Minstrel, and I recall that ZvT was pretty bad. I can't remember exactly what the percentage was, but I believe it was something like 58% win rate for Terran in pro matches, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to look and see if I still have the statistics for that. It's like a Marine came down. He was looking for that Overlord, but Ddasik being careful. He wants to get the Overlord, of course, over the natural. That's where every Zerg player wants to have their Overlord. Especially in this matchup, it's so important. But he's not being risky with that. He's going to wait for some Lings to come out, get that Ling speed going, put some threat onto his opponent before moving this Overlord into position. Just 3 Marines out here in the front. 1 racks right into command center, and the academy is super quick. This is a very quick academy. Didn't even build a second barracks before throwing down that academy, so he's going to start that second barracks now, and he will be starting his stim at a really crisp timing. We're going to see like a 5-minute move out here, I believe. Maybe even 450, something like that. SCV wants to get into this main. Can he block it out with just the 1 drone? He does. Second drone comes up as well. And the Lings are going to surround this. Yeah, Ling speed is done. So he will be chasing this down. A 3rd barracks on the way. Stim upgrade is coming along now. 4-minute 30 is going to move forward. This is not enough stuff, though. Or will he actually push out? Maybe with a build like this, you just don't have the barracks on time to get that very quick move out going. Yeah, he just doesn't have enough Marines, I guess. And so maybe this is angled towards getting a very fast range as well. The range is going to start now. It's 5 minutes. He's not pushing out. I think if you look at this from an outside perspective, from a Zerg perspective, you're probably going to think +1 is on the way. Not necessarily that stim is going to be done already. And that range is now on the way. We're actually going to have range pretty shortly after the Mutalists arrive. And it feels as though Speed is just going to sit back. Don't have any real reason to push out right now. It's a little bit too late to force sunken colonies. And it's going to start to move forward a little bit. The mutas are popping. 8 mutas coming out. It is a 2.5 hatch build from Ddasik. He starts armor and a couple of sunken colonies at the front. That's interesting. Is he just going to go around and dive? I think that might be what we see. Just pull all the mutas together and not even challenge the front. Just go straight to the main. That's the only thing that makes sense to me right now, because he built those 2 sunken colonies at such a weird timing. Right? He had the Lings out in the front. He saw that the Marines weren't moving. Why build these 2 sunken colonies unless you're going to go dive the main and you're afraid that this counterattack or this force could counterattack you in your natural? Yeah, this doesn't really make sense to me right now, but we'll see what Ddasik decides to do with it. He hasn't morphed those into sunken colonies yet. He's going to start another 7 drones. This seems counterintuitive to me. But Ddasik will look for some kills on these Marines. Loses a Muta already. And range is done, of course. Range finished up. 3rd turret being made in the main. Is he going to dive in? No. Still not quite enough mutas here. The drone count has been upped a little bit. The 3rd base is on the way. Flying in now with these mutas. Just going to go after SCVs, it looks like. He sees the timing on these starports. Picks off about 5 SCVs, 6 SCVs, something like that. Will finally be driven out here. 3 turrets hitting. Means he loses about 2 more mutas. It's a reasonable amount of damage, especially considering he's managed to make some drones in the meanwhile. Up to 25 drones to just 28 SCVs. It's not a bad spot as a Zerg, but it's time to transition. It's done just enough, I think, to slow down this Terran player. Starports are finished. And he did morph these into sunken colonies as well. That's so curious to me that he decided to do that. He even morphed them into sunken colonies. What prompted him to decide to morph those? I guess he didn't have a Ling right in front of the natural here. But he had pretty good coverage with the Overlord. Should have been able to see any Marines coming across. And if the Marines are leaving right there, and you just morph these into sunken colonies from creep colonies, you'll definitely have it done in time. Ship weapons on the way. Is there a... Okay, there... Yeah, of course. What am I even saying? Of course there's an armory. Where is that being researched? I was thinking... or I wasn't actually thinking, I suppose. Now the Marines are coming. 3rd creep colony on the way. Mutas are going to hit this from behind. Those Valkyries aren't yet out. In fact, they haven't even started just yet. Marines are going to move up towards this natural. And Lurker upgrade is almost done. Okay, there we go. Lurker upgrade is finished. And so he can start to morph some of these into Lurkers. Well, he hasn't started to do that yet. Has 900 gas in the bank. This base over here, he's not morphing these into Lurkers either. Focusing a little bit too hard on controlling these mutas. At the same time, Speed finally getting his Valkyries started as well. He'll be trying to bring those up to combine with these Marines and maybe break one of these bases, but Lurkers are going to be out soon. Lurkers will be out very soon. Marines hit the stim button. They're going to run up to this high ground. Let's see if he can deal with this. If Ddasik can hold this, Lurkers are going to burrow. Lurkers burrow, but okay, that was a great spine there. Dealing so much damage. 6 kills on this Lurker. And he wipes out that force, just losing the 2 Lurkers there. At the cost of a lot of Marines. 7 more drones on the way, going into Groove Spine, so he's definitely going to be playing Hydra's Defiler for the rest of this game. He does need to start upgrading, though. Upgrades are kind of bad at this moment. I don't think he's got Hydralisk attack or armor. He's had that evolution chamber for a bit of time. These 4 Valkyries moving out on the map are going to be a little bit of a problem. He actually can't build anything right now. 5 Overlords in production. Would like to be droning up and saturating this 3rd gas. That's been unsaturated for quite a while. Finally going to dive in towards this natural. Oh my goodness. This is not the greatest trade I've ever seen. Marines are just gonna run back as soon as the lurkers pull up, and the mutas are almost all dead. Ddasik taking quite the L here, but getting his lurkers up in the front, that's quite important. He's gonna be able to kill all these supply depots, I imagine. Is there a factory? Yes. Okay, the factory is making tanks, which are going to be critical for breaking out of this position. Setting up some mines on the reinforcement path. Nice one there. A little bit unfortunate for those vultures. 6 Valkyries. Oh my goodness, this is gonna kill all the overlords. Uh-oh. This is very good for speed. Utilizing the one advantage that he really has, which is in that air. We're gonna be able to kill a huge amount of overlords, bringing them down to almost none. How many overlords do you have? Like 2, 3? 1 there, and I think 1 over here. Yeah, that's it. Yikes. Very painful stuff, but you know what? Defilers are out. Defilers are out, and they're crossing this map. Consume is about to finish. Siege tanks making their way to the front here. I think he can actually break this. Lurker's going to unburrow and back up. 1 lurker ends up dying, but the Defiler's here at the front. Consume is just about done, boys. Another overlord gonna go down. Again, supply block finally manages to break that supply block, but can't really make too much stuff. Having a really hard time spending his money. Has 1,000 gas in the bank, but really can't bring anything to the fore. Lings need to be sent forward. So important that he gets some lings out right now, but he really can't produce anything. He needs something to consume. If he wants to push forward, the supply block is hurting so badly. Again, supply block. Again, supply block. It's crazy how long the supply block is lasting. And the Dark Swarm will not last forever. Let's start to hit this with 3 tanks up on the high ground. Valkyries come back in. The supply block is lasting so long. Another overlord is gonna go down in this natural. It is so painful for a Zerg player to keep losing overlords like this. Finally, the bunker will die. You have to find more overlords here. Speed. I don't think he's bought quite enough time. He's got a lot of tanks up here, and he's building up the fire bats. 4th base starts. A lot of Hydras here at the front. But of course, there are quite a few mines as well. Target that down. Okay. No target there. Good job by Speed. Gets that irradiate. We'll get the second one as well. Defilers have both been irradiated, so eventually he will be able to push this back, and the natural was never really fully threatened. He never had to pull the SCVs away or anything like that. It was scary for a moment, but I think he's fully stabilized at this point. 40 drones have been made. A lot of Scourge are looking for these Valkyries. Looks like they might finally find them as he kills off his last batch of Overlords. He might get some kills here. It's really close. Okay, a lot of those Overlords do end up surviving. That is quite important for the Zerg player. Gonna back up now. Leave some space for Speed to start to push out. That is a lot of tanks. And he's fully switched over into mech, in fact. Full mech. 9 mutas on the way, by the way. 9 mutas coming up. So he's recognized that there's a lack of anti-air in this force. In fact, so many fire bats have been made. A lot of vultures here as well. If he can just come in with some Scourge and kill these 2 vessels, then it's going to be very difficult for Speed to deal with the mutas that are coming forward now. Oh, the mutas. Gonna go after these Marines. Marines are gonna start to go down here. The vessel's almost enough energy on them. Okay, he's got enough for 2 irradiates. Gotta pull out these irradiated mutas. I'm surprised he didn't build any Scourge in a situation like this. Those Scourge would have been insanely good. Does have one Scourge there. Kind of not paying attention at the moment. A little bit worried about these vultures that are moving around the top side. And in fact, they're going to get a bunch of kills now. Meanwhile, tanks are falling. Actually needs to target a little bit better. He could be killing off so many tanks. All right, mutas are being pulled together now. Another vessel pops. That's almost got enough for an irradiate. Some Goliaths finally come out. There's the irradiate. Not the best one. Not the best one I've ever seen. Goes up to the Defiler. Actually gets the Defiler. That's kind of big. And the Defiler, I mean, pull to the extractor. What are we doing here, Ddasik? Pull to the extractor for the love of God. All right. The extractor has a Dark Swarm over it, so you could keep your drone safe by simply pulling to that building, yeah. Keeping all of them alive would be awesome. But can he get the... Oh my goodness, he gets the CC. That is huge. Killing that third CC is absolutely massive, but there's another CC over here at top center. That top center CC could be the lifesaver here for Speed as he pushes along the top side. SCVs are going to be sent forth. Some lurkers could potentially get set down right here, and that would actually buy a lot of time. If he sets up those lurkers under Dark Swarm, then reinforcements cannot come to assist, and so possibly he could break this base. He has a lot of mutas left. He's still got some Hydras. 1,500 minerals in the bank right now. Speed struggling to spend his money as he gets this next base online. Here comes the mutas to try and break this. It's just pure Goliath. And that force under the Dark Swarm is preventing Speed from bringing any reinforcements forward. This is an excellent attack from Ddasik. Getting some nice little kills there. Clearing out almost all of the SCVs as they try to run back. Oh my goodness, so many SCVs end up dying. And the command center is going to fall as well. Speed is just getting handled right now. SCVs over at center left. And another base going up in the bottom left. So he's trying to expand in multiple directions while these attacks are going on, but he's having a hard time really taking wins anywhere. Whereas Ddasik, yes, he's got this base over at top right, fully mining. 42 workers in that arsenal. There's a few vultures trying to get in, get some kills. Looks like they managed to get 4 at least. The base down here in the bottom left is going to be forced to cancel. Army unsieging and moving down towards this base. He needs to save at least the third. Cannot allow this third to die again. Has to keep that alive no matter what. Beetle is sent into the mineral line, trying to do some damage against these SCVs and actually doing a great job. Killing off quite a few SCVs there. Dropping him down to just 29. Very scrappy game for what is a mech game. 2 CCs have died. And the third is just starting to mine. He actually needs to get all his SCVs over there. Because 31, he's barely going to be able to saturate even one base. Tank setting up and clearing out the potential 5th hatchery. However, the middle has been taken. I wonder if Speed will ever even find out about that. It's such a weird base to take. And there's these lurkers that are constantly threatening over towards his natural. So I doubt he'll be able to send anything past this. And Ddasik might get away with just holding this base and eking out a lot of gas off of it. He doesn't really need that much gas right now. Gas is not the most important resource. Funnily enough, for Zerg in this particular moment, he actually needs a lot more minerals. He's having a hard time getting those resources because he doesn't have a very good saturation in top right. And in fact, he's going to lose even more drones. Dropping down to just 45. Maybe time to make a round of drones, in fact. Get that base saturated over there in top right. Now this CC is going to try to be made on location. Down bottom left. Will that actually survive? Continuing to keep this Dark Swarm active. It's just keeping Speed back far enough to where I doubt that he's actually going to see the base in the center of the map. Oh, that one mine never went off. That is frustrating for Speed. Really, really frustrating. These tanks are going to have to back up. Almost forced this command center to cancel, but hasn't been able to do that just yet. Has a bunch of Scourge back here. Might send them in for these vessels. Popping out some more drones now. Going up to 49. Speed has managed to reclaim some drones as well, though. Now at... or some workers at 33. Which is pretty reasonable on 2 bases. He's going to be able to saturate pretty well. You want like 20 per base in order to fully saturate, but 33 is going to be a pretty solid income overall. Especially since things have been so scrappy. Great kills there with the mines. Bit of luck that he didn't have the Overlord out in the front at that moment. Otherwise, the Hydras probably would have dealt with that pretty well. Lurkers get under this Dark Swarm, and so the Goliaths are going to have a very hard time. Should bring the Scourge forward to deal with these 2 Science Vessels. Now would be a great time because that just lengthens the... just makes them, the Lurkers, have so much longevity under that Dark Swarm. They're just going to be able to deny the base for so much longer, but unfortunately he doesn't save those Lurkers by killing off the Science Vessels. Making his way to the middle of the map. He sees it now. He sees that the base has been taken in the center. And Speed's going to be a little bit confused about that, I imagine. How that managed to slip through under his nose. Looping around. Picking off a few Hydras here and there. A bunch of Queens just spawned. You can see the transition is occurring, but this might be a trigger. Seeing all the Queens right there, this might be a trigger now for Speed to get aggressive. He knows that Queens have a long timer before they can start to actually use their Broodlings. He starts EMP. That's also a great call in a situation like this. Just start to get that EMP. And in fact, he is going to push now. Pushing forward here. Gonna kill the Lurkers at the front. And I don't think there's a way for him to save this base. And I'm definitely gonna have to pull away from this spot. Oh, but a drop in the main. Oh my god, I completely missed this. The drop coming into the main. Absolutely blindsiding both me and Speed. Speed had no idea that this was coming. He's got 2 tanks in the main and a bunch of vessels. A shame that he didn't bring Scourge along with this so that he could have potentially gunned down a bunch of these vessels. Okay, Scourge are coming up. Some of the vessels are going to fall to the Hydras. And the Scourge are getting some kills as well. So much damage in this main base. It's insane. A ton. An absolute ton of supply depots are going down. Ddasik just making so much progress here. He's buying a lot of time for his upgrades to come online as well. Things are just kind of filtering in right now. That's not the way you want to do it, but as he gets a little bit closer in, drops the Dark Swarms right up on top of this. He will burrow Lurkers under that Dark Swarm, and GG is called. Speed taps out despite managing to get his 2 bases online down in bottom left, and this being such a difficult map for Zerg overall. Ddasik puts together a very good plan, a game plan here, continuously harassing Speed as he's trying to expand and then gearing up for this massive drop into the main. This drop did so much work. It's a shame that Speed didn't just unsiege everything, go back home and clear that out faster. He kind of went halfway in between the two. He kind of attacked, And he kind of sent some stuff back. He didn't like do one or the other. He didn't send everything on the attack or bring everything back to defend. And so he ends up losing. A bit of a tactical error there, but some really good stuff from Ddasik, and I'm hoping to see more great games from him. Number 2's coming right up. Game number 2, and we've already got a barracks in the center of the map. That's right, Shinee. Gonna start us off with an 8 racks. Some pressure here on Radion to Ddasik, and we'll see if this ends up netting him a win or at least a big advantage. That can transition him into a later game in a good spot. Barracks just about complete. There's the hatchery and the natural. So Ddasik gonna play into this a bit. Not through any fault of his own, but this is just the way it is. Not really any builds out there where you scout with a drone before your hatchery. It just doesn't really exist. Unless you're going for a super early pool. And you do have to mix in early pools every once in a while. Otherwise, you will get punished by plays like this. 8 racks plays. This is going to be 8 racks into a vulture. And so he's not going to 100% commit with a bunch of SCVs to try and get damage here. He's just going to build like 3-4 Marines, come in, try to get a bunker started, gun down as many drones as he can, but more importantly, open the way for the vulture follow-up. And it could be all the way into a 1-1-1 as well. We'll just have to see about that. There's the bunker getting started. The SCV has taken a couple of hits, but it's going to get quite a bit of HP on this bunker. 3 Marines with the 4th about to arrive. We'll try to surround these Marines. Pretty decent surround there. Good pull, though, with the Marine being sent over to the left-hand side. 3 drones have fallen so far, and a 4th is likely to go down. 4 drones, 5. Yeah, it's a little bit too much now. 6 drones have died. Oh, 7 drones. And only 7 left over at the end of that. We've seen some comebacks. In fact, we saw Saxery make a pretty sick comeback in, I think that was our last video, or maybe the video before that, where he lost about 7 or 8 drones, went down to around the same number, and still managed to come back. But it was a different set of circumstances. It wasn't a 1-1-1 follow-up behind that. Instead, he was able to build a bunch of lings, defeat the bunker, kill a bunch of Marines, and then go across the map and kill a few SCVs. In this case, you're just not going to have that option. Vulture's already out. It started Sunken. So that's very good. Sunken is done. Which means the Vulture can't just kill, but a Ling counter can't do anything either. And he's going to start a Hydralisk Den. Hydralisk Den on the way. 2 more drones. Is he just going to go Hydra all in? It's possible he just wants to make a few Hydras to keep himself safe from the Wraith. And potentially you could go into drop as well. You can make 1 Wraith and then add on and then make a drop ship. This is a play that I go up against on ladder quite a bit. And in fact, that's what we're going to see. So a drop ship, like the Wraith comes in, it starts poking. You're kind of running around with Hydras trying to chase it. And the Wraith is, you know, flying around killing overlords and all that. And then the dropship comes in, lands the vultures, and you start ravaging the main base. All the drones there start to die. And things become kind of untenable for the Zerg. We've got the Wraith here in the natural. Trying to put on as much damage as possible. And you actually get this great control there from Shinee. Gets the Overlord without taking too much damage. Still 70 HP on that. We'll look for these other Overlords, but may not be able to find them. He's looking around the outside of the map where the Overlords are strategically positioned. Not going to be easy to find and kill. Vultures, think about running in. But he's got this dropship follow-up, which is very strong, and he doesn't want to throw away these vultures just yet. And in fact, the drones were pulled to the ramp to potentially shut that down, to shut the vultures from getting into the main. You can see Hydras are spread. 5 more Hydras on the way. We'll see if this is going to be enough. 5 Hydras is very nice. Oh, he finds this Overlord. That's kind of a typical place to put your Overlord anyway, so it makes sense. Dude, find that. Vultures here. Gonna start to lay down some mines, but he's doing a great job of spreading out these Hydras. Oh, God. Ooh, you can't be losing Hydras to mines in a situation like this. Drop gonna go in behind the mineral patches now. And the drones will have to be pulled. 2 vultures there. Denying mining for the time being. Great placement on that spire. It's gonna block the vultures from sliding around behind. And so they only get 1 kill. This is a really sweet little play, though. To go for the drop in the main and then hit the natural as well. So difficult to handle an attack like this, some harassment like this. Behind it, he's got his command center coming up. He's switching back into Marines. Drop is coming in once again. And another Overlord will fall. And so I can't help but feel like speed is ahead, but it's certainly not over by any means. Gonna get 2 more drone kills here. 21 drones remain. Gamuta Flock will be popping out here soon, but he's really low on Overlords, so may not be able to make much of any mutas. Like maybe 4 or 5. It's not gonna be a lot, that's for sure. And so he starts another Overlord. He's got enough money for 5, but I don't think he can even produce. Yeah, he's only gonna be able to produce 3. 3 Overlords, or 3 mutas is all he can make. And that's not really gonna bother speed too much. He'll have some Marines out. He's got his engineering bay done. He can make a turret or 2. That's not a problem. Let's start a couple turrets and a bunker, just to be safe. Got the 35 SCVs, and he's in fact stopped making SCVs for the time being. Might just want to put a bunch of barracks down and go for an SK Terran push follow-up. Or not SK Terran, sorry. I meant to say fantasy, but there's no Valkyries, so maybe not a fantasy style. Instead, gonna go for a Radiate very quickly. And then we might see a push right after that. Kill that Wraith. And so losing the Wraith, I mean, it's done its job already, that's for sure. Certainly has done very, very well for Shinee. He's killed a ton of Overlords with it. Supply blocked Ddasik numerous times. And the mutas are in high health. Ready to start one-shotting some SCVs. Will he be able to... Oh, Stimpack's not done, by the way. Stimpack is not finished. And so these Marines are not kind of impotent. Oh, but the Irradiate's super good. Radiate dealing a lot of damage. Flying in, gonna kill some SCVs. Can he start to even out the score a little bit? Losing a couple Mutalisks here and there. Down to just 6, so can no longer one-shot. And he's having a hard time finding a way out. There's not really anywhere to go from this position. Gonna pull out the mutas as best he can. But the Irradiate still does quite a bit of damage. I personally wouldn't be feeling too confident from a position like this, but we'll see how Ddasik does. It's definitely looking towards a Hydraless Defiler play, I imagine, anyway. I don't see the Hydra upgrades, of course, because Lurker aspect is on the way first, but we'll get confirmation as soon as that Lurker upgrade is done, whether he's going to continue with Hydra upgrades and stick on that play, or is he going to try and get into Ultra somehow? Another kind of a rough pullout here from Ddasik. Ugh. Losing basically all of his mutas. His 3 mutas that remain have no HP left. They'll just have to be sent home. Lurker upgrade's not done, guys. Lurker upgrade is a little ways off. Gonna have to build a ton of sunken colonies if he wants to live. And I don't even know if that's gonna be enough because Speed is on the warpath. He's not only gonna have so many Marines, but he's also... Oh yeah, actually Hydra's speed was done. Okay, right. He built Hydra speed early on to help him defend against the Wraith and the... of course, the Vultures as well. And so he sends in the last of his units. GG is called. Very nice tactical takedown. Did I say he was speed? Sorry, Shinee came directly across the map here and actually takes out Ddasik handily with that 8 racks into Vulture into drop. I've seen it a lot. A friend of mine actually loves Snow. He's done this to me before. It's a pretty popular build, especially on the ladder, and Shinee is a very strong ladder player, so I guess it's to be expected. Let's see if Ddasik can pull it together and beat Shinee in this next game. Okay, so not another 8 racks out of Shinee. We're gonna get a more normal game, but will Ddasik decide to open with an early pool this game because of his previous experience? It's not looking that way. In fact, very certain, or almost entirely certain, that he's going to go for another hatch first. And in fact, he will. You can go 12 pool. 12 pool is a relatively strong build. I actually see Soma do it quite a bit. We've watched Soma do it quite a lot. I actually practice it quite a few times on the ladder. I would say maybe 40 or 50 times on the ladder. I played about 40 or 50 games of 12 pool to really get the feeling of what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks of going for that build. And it can be a pretty strong build. You can get into a really nice timing with mutas. You are a little bit weak in the early game. You can have some strength with the first 4 lings that pop out, maybe 6 lings that pop out, to try and pressure the Terran a little bit, make them a bit scared. But with the 12 pool, you are pretty skimpy. There's not a great way to transition into a big macro game. At least it doesn't feel like that for me. Anyway, we're here with a 12 hatch. It was 12 hatch, 11 pool, 10 gas. Nothing has really happened on the Terran side just yet, aside from a couple of Marines being built, and he's gearing up for this CC that's about to come out. He sent out 2 SCVs just to make sure that there wasn't an early pool, but he's now got the confirmation. And he sends the second SCV forward. He's actually just going to swap them out, it looks like. This SCV is going to go home. And this SCV is going to stay for some scouting information. And that's all well and good. The Marines in the middle of the map. And only 4 lings were made. Another set is coming, though. With 6 lings and only 4 Marines, that's a pretty easy cleanup for the Zerg player. And so he's going to take this fight when there's 4 versus 4. But as soon as the next set comes out, it's a complete mismatch, and Terran will just have to go home. And he's going to have to stay home because the Ling speed is going to finish up, and then it's more than a mismatch. It is an absolute slaughter. Even numbers of Lings to even numbers of Marines. It's just so terrible for the Terran player. Start the Spire. Start the Spire. What are we doing? Okay, Spire was a bit late there. Ddasik worried about getting some extra lings out to deal with this slight Marine pressure. Does set up a wall of drones on the right hand side because that's exactly the location that the Terran would like to move into. If they can get into that little tight little spot there, that little corner, It's going to be fantastic, but he's pushed far too far forward and is now going to lose basically every Marine. Yeah, every Marine goes down for hardly any kills on these Lings as well. That's just how it is with Speed finishing up. Expected that maybe Ddasik wasn't going to build any more Lings there and maybe he could get a bunch of damage done, but he poked the bear a little bit too hard there. A few too many times he poked the bear, and the bear reared up, gave him a good swat, and now Shinee is sitting back on his butt, kind of reeling from those losses and wondering how he's actually going to hold on against this Mutalisk follow-up. The Mutalisk follow-up won't be as strong as if he wasn't forced to make all those Lings. He's only going to be able to make like 4 Mutas to start this off. But the Marine number is so low. Only got 6 Marines. The 3rd barracks is on the way. The engineering bay is about to finish, so he should have turrets just barely in time. But just barely. And he's going to need multiples. So you can see he's getting the SCVs into position already. And he's going to start those turrets up immediately. Getting the turrets down as soon as possible. Armor upgrade on the way from Ddasik. 3rd base is coming out. That's a good response. It's a good response from Ddasik. Makes sense. Probably not going to be able to make a huge amount of mutas, considering a lot of your larva was spent on early game Lings. And your opponent's probably not going to push out too readily. Well, as I say that, he starts to move forward, but he lost so many Marines. It's a little bit hard to push at this moment, so getting the 3rd base going right away makes a good amount of sense. Ddasik going to continue to build mutas, just pure mutas. He's got 22 workers, so you can just keep pumping these out. Slip in a drone every once in a while when you don't have enough gas to make another muta. And eventually he will get this 3rd gas online. But we'll be watching for that transition point, and then when Ddasik wants to stop making Mutalisks, comes in for an SCV kill, but as soon as the Marines leave, he's got to start to chase. Marines will group back up again. And I think Ddasik just lost sight of where these Marines are at, so he's kind of looking around. He's wondering where they are currently. And Shinee's done a good job to hide himself out here. Might be able to make his way over to the 3rd without getting spotted. Note, these Lings of Ddasik will spot that. And so mutas are going to be brought together. Forces another stim. 3 medics is pretty good. They have a lot of energy, so he can keep stimming this. He's going to pick off little by little the Marines in this army group, and he's continued to build mutas. So as time goes on, we'll get closer and closer to a big surround and just kill on this army. Not really anything that Shinee can do about that. Wow, he's doing a pretty good job targeting down mutas. Really good job, in fact. He's killed like 4 mutas, maybe 5 mutas, something like that. And so get some good value out of those Marines despite getting completely cleaned up. And so the counterattack's not going to be too strong. In fact, an armory is coming up as well. So he'll be making some Valkyries here soon. Right as he was cleaning up, though, Ddasik starts his Hydra Den Queen's Nest. So he's got the transition on the way. The Marine number's not that great. And so I think he's going to have time to get this Lurker upgrade out. We're not going to see a repeat, I don't believe, of that last game where Lurkers just weren't in time and everything fell apart for Ddasik. He's getting in here, seeing kind of what's going on. He hasn't seen the Valkyries just yet. And they've just begun on the side of Shinee. Good targeting there as well. Armor upgrade on the way. This is looking like more of an Ultralisk game. If he can get these bases mining properly, get the Lurkers out that he needs to hold this incoming push, which is gonna be coming along quite soon. This barracks is getting low though. Oh my gosh. They actually kill the barracks. So close. I think he gets it. He does kill the one barracks. Now dropping him down to just 3 barracks production. Lurker upgrade is so close to being finished. He just needs to buy a tiny bit of time. You can see Lurker upgrade is done. Lurkers start to morph. This is going to be a nail biter. As the mutas hit from behind, Shinee has to slow down just slightly, buying those precious few seconds. But Shinee is rapidly moving in. Oh, these lurker eggs are so close, guys. That one lurker egg at the front. We're gonna hold on for a moment. Lurkers burrow, and Shinee will be rejected from this base. Double dropship immediately in production as he sees that the lurkers are done and in position. Lurker's gonna move out on the map because he knows that his opponent doesn't really have a lot of options for getting vision of these lurkers. There might be an opportunity for a hold position lurker play that could absolutely change this game. It's a bit risky, but he's willing to give it a shot. Nidus Canal's coming up. And Defiler's Mound is done. Decided to place the Nidus Canal in the natural. It's kind of a thing that's been going back and forth. For a while, it seemed like the main base was better and more pro players were putting their Nidus in their main. I think it's pretty strong, personally. Like maybe one Valkyrie went down there. I kind of missed it. But I believe he only built 4 Valkyries in total. Loading up these 2 drops. Can he get into this main base? The reason why the Nidus in the main was good was because you could suddenly hop army back into this main where most of the drops would be taking place. Otherwise, it's a bit harder. You got to move them up the ramp in order to get into position to defend. Hydras are not going to do very well against this strong marine force, but the lurkers coming up are going to help out quite a bit. Pushing this back into the corner. He's doing his best to reload these drop ships and get back in here once again. Trying to avoid the Valkyries. Oh, doing a lot of damage to these mutas. The mutas are going to be critical in defending this drop coming up. Marines run up into the top left-hand corner, but they will be cleaned. Wait, where are the drop ships? Oh, they're hitting over here. Oh, man, these Scourge just moved out at the wrong time. And he's going to go right after the Nidus Canal. Lurkers pop out. And in fact, a Defiler comes out as well. Oh, he targets the wrong lurker. The lurker just runs away. You right-click that lurker that ran away. And so the rest of the Marines just run into the other lurker's spines. That was a little bit rough. Lurker out here in the front. Not sure if that got any kills. Doesn't really seem like it since there's only the corpse of the lurker there rather than a bunch of Marine corpses as well. Double engineering bay working away now. And we've got quite a few barracks that have been rebuilt. Factory with an add-on. Is he going to start making tanks, or is this going to be for vultures and a mech transition? You can do vultures without a mech transition, but it's pretty common to go vulture into a mech transition. Diving in, pushing back this army. The lurkers are going to try and get as close as possible. Great targeting from Shinee, by the way. Killing off almost every lurker. That is wild to me. Darkstorm's going to go down in this natural. Wait, where's the Darkstorm? Okay, not the greatest Darkstorm, I'll say. Could have actually prevented these Marines from moving out at all, but now he's going to lose the Defiler, and most of the lurkers are going to get pushed back. That was a bit lackluster from Ddasik, who could have pushed in with about 5 lurkers and a Dark Swarm rather than diving forward and just kind of losing the lurkers and then casting the Dark Swarm onto nothing. 1 Marine in this dropship heading around the top side. That's kind of funny. That 1 Marine on a solo mission. The dropship heading back home is in rough shape. There's smoke flying up the back of that thing as it makes its way back home. Another 2 dropships were made, and they're loading up in the natural. I was gonna try and make something happen with those. We'll see if he goes for the main or if he tries to hit top right, which has just been taken. Nidus Canal being reconnected. This time at a little bit more of a difficult location to hit if you're dropping in the back behind the mineral patches, which is usually where people will drop, where Terran players will drop. Makes quite a bit of sense. Hydra's coming up here. I don't like this so much. And they might be able to slip out. Yeah, it looked like they were actually going to get trapped in that high ground and just lose their lives. But he managed to slip out there. Got double upgrades on the way. +2 armor just finished. We have +2 attack. No. +1 attack. This is about to be done as well. More Hydras, more lurkers being made. Double expansion going up for Shinee. Where are those dropships headed? Ah, they're heading around the bottom side of the map. However, there's a drone down here that might spot everything. It could be a really big spot that reveals the strategy there for Shinee. Going for the big plague. Kind of whiffs it. Only 3 Marines end up getting plagued there. He spots it with the drone. The dropship coming in. I'm not sure if he saw it though for real. It might have been on his minimap, but he was a little bit too busy with everything else that's going on to pick up on that. Here comes those drops. They're gonna start to unload. This lurker, if only it was burrowed, would do so much damage, but now it's just gonna get 1 shot off and die. Firebats making their way over towards this mineral line. Great plague there. This actually wrecks everything. And those Marines are going to go down so quickly. Hydra Defiler in full effect now. 3rd armor upgrade is on the way. Let's take a look at the Terran upgrades. 2-2 with 3-3 on the way. Hydra Lurker making its way into this base. Can he actually bust through? This double bunker position is quite strong. Firebats are actually hitting the lurkers. He's got to back away, so he will move over to the right-hand side, but with the full surround of SCVs and the Marines pushing up, looks like he will get rid of that. Only a few kills going down on that. 1 single lurker. He's got to pass something with this Defiler. He has to consume a Hydra just to get energy for that because he lost his first Defiler, which had energy. Science Vessel comes up. Another Dark Swarm here. Trying to get closer to this all-important extra base, this 3rd base that Shinee's been able to take. Doesn't want to allow that to stand. The tanks are now moving forward. My goodness, that's a lot of tanks. Yeah, he's got double factory in his main. Pumping out siege tanks. Let's see how this push goes. Just crushes through these lurkers and moves directly to the front. Lurker's gonna go up on the high ground, trading out this base potentially, or his natural. No comsat on these lurkers, so they're just gonna kill the bunkers for free there. It's a little bit funny. These tanks, they don't have +1 or anything. They just have a lot of numbers. Dark Swarm goes down. Ling's coming out, but they're very spread. And the Defiler gets picked off really quickly. Drop over here as well. Oh my goodness, that drop killed so many drones. So many drones just went down. Looks like these Marines are actually going to get cleaned up. But this Marine has 6 kills on him. Most of that being drones, I imagine. Some more reinforcements popping out here, but... oh my god, he didn't kill this? No way. Those 3 Marines hanging in there for way longer than expected. Now pushing up and hitting stuff on high ground. Shinee with the tank push, making some waves, breaking through this natural. The drones can't escape. His drones in the natural are all going to end up going down. I think the Ddasik is just about out of this. Almost has enough for an irradiate and should be able to deal with that one lurker. And in fact, he will. Ultralisk Cavern never going to be realized because the Ultras upgrades will never have Ultras to apply to. And Lurker's coming up to get in the way of this reinforcement train, but it doesn't matter. 6 tanks, 7, 8 tanks total making their way up into this main base. There's fire bats as well because he knows this will be a primarily Ling defense. At such a critical moment, Ultralisks are being made, but they take so long to build. It's crazy. This Firebat underneath the Darkstorm is killing every single Ling. And there it is, GG. That Firebat. Oh, he actually didn't get any kills. Wait, is there another Firebat under there? There must be, right? Second Firebat, maybe? No, okay. That's weird. I thought that just killed like every Ling. Maybe the killed number went away? No. Kills still stay after the replay ends. That's a little bit weird. Whoa. That Ultra's Cavern right in the middle of dying as the replay stopped. Ddasik having a real struggle against Shinee, even though he was able to take out Speed of all people. He took out Speed, but he gets smacked by Shinee twice in a row. And Shinee seemed in very good control of both of these games. Really felt like he had Ddassik's number both times. And although he managed to kill this one base, that timing with just all these tanks, that seemed quite scary. The double factory play, that might be a really good answer to Hydra's Defiler, because it is quite flimsy as you're setting it up, as you're getting all of your bases online and you're building Lurker and Hydra and just trying to kind of counterattack and hang on back at home. You don't have a lot of stuff. Now, if he had just a few Lurkers and a couple of Defilers that is natural, he could have held on. The tanks don't really do anything in a case like that, but he hit just at that proper moment when the counterattack was happening, when the base was going down over here at 6 o'clock, where he kind of knew, well, you just sent all of your Lurkers and you probably don't have too many Defilers back at home either. Maybe I can just get in here and win right now. And the counterattack turned out to be the perfect choice in a situation like this. Shinee makes it happen. And guys, this is the end of the video. I don't have any more games from these players for now, but I'll be looking out for more Ddasik games, more Shinee games as well. We'll get some more of those in. Speed 2, of course, gets the honorable mention. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.